You get to pull a Tom Crank or take 10 steps out.
Oh, is that what he would do?
So Tom will stand in front of it, block it, so nobody can see.
I don't mean to.
But he just loves it when everybody focuses their attention on it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome everybody. I'd like to call to order the January 6, 2020 Board of Aldermen meeting. Would everyone please join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Here.
Present.
Here.
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 Here. Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda is approval or amendment of the agenda. Are there any changes or modifications? Any objection to approving it by acclamation? Seeing none, it will be so approved. Next on the agenda item 4A, Fire Department swearing in of Patrick Schoen. Chief, come on down, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. How are you this evening? Thank you very much for the opportunity to do this. I'd like to share a little information on Pat Shum, our newest firefighter paramedic. Pat was born and raised in St. Louis, attended and graduated from Bishop DeBerg High School in 2000. Went on to attend St. Louis Community College, where he earned a general studies degree and obtained his EMT basic license. Pat realized while attending college and working at a grocery store that he wanted to become a firefighter. He continued his pursuit to become a firefighter when he attended and graduated from the St. Louis County Fire Academy in 2007. Pat's EMS career began as an ALS EMT at Christian Hospital and then as a paramedic with Gateway Ambulance. Pat continued working at Christian and Gateway part-time as a paramedic while working as a career firefighter medic in the Melville Fire Protection District and then on to St. Louis City Fire Department for the past 11 years. Pat was hired by the Brentwood Fire Department in December of 2019, resides in St. Louis City, and he is married to his wife Katie and has a 7-year-old daughter named Lucy. So with that, I'd like to call Pat, Katie, and Lucy up, and we'll get Pat sworn in.
That I will faithfully demean myself. In the office of firefighter. For which I was appointed on the 5th day of December 2019.
Next on the agenda is item 4B, appointment to the Board of Adjustment. We had an opening that occurred recently, and thankfully we had a number of people again who were willing to serve the city in that role, and I was pleased to appoint Sue Kaiser, and I think you all have her background information. And so with that, I would entertain a motion to approve Sue Kaiser to appointment of the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Alderman Lady and seconded by Alderwoman Sims. Any
done.
other discussion on that? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries 8-0. Thank you, and welcome, Sue. Next on the agenda, item 5, case number 19-20, public hearing to consider a conditional use permit and site plan review to operate a medical care day program for children for property zoned LID, Light Industrial District, and located at 1400 Strassner Drive. The applicant is Janice Cataldi, and with that, I will open up the public hearing for case number 1920. Anybody in the public care to speak to this issue? Now is the time to do so. Seeing none, we will close public hearing, case number 1920. Next on the agenda is item 6, citizen comments. Anybody in the audience care to address the Board of Aldermen? Now is the time to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes.
Mark, I live at 2231 St. Clair Avenue. I just wanted to thank Councilwoman Nancy for reading my comments at the last meeting about Brentwood Bond and about citizen support for the trails that we're going to talk about. And again, some of you weren't here, you may not have heard those comments that she read, but really the gist of the letter was that we were out campaigning for this tax, and we're showing a lot of pictures of the trails from Northwest Park, and especially east of Northwest Park along the river. And people really, really responded to those and felt like, instead of just another tax, something we're going to support the taxes that were going to go to corporations and developers. This was a process, and Brentwood Bond was something they could support because those trails were going to improve the city of Brentwood. And we think that a lot of the voters who voted for the additional tax did so really specifically because of their support for trails. So I just want to reiterate the support from what we talked to as the Brentwood Bond task force. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Okay. Next on the agenda, Mayor and Alderman reports. I have no report. Alderman Kramer.
No report at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Leahy.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have community action. The brand new year of 2020, the Ward 3 meeting will be Tuesday night, January 28th at the Rec Center. All are invited. And then if I may, Your Honor, the city of Brentwood, along with the American Red Cross, is hosting a blood drive on Friday, the 24th of January, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we would love to see as many donors as we can get to come up. If you're interested and able to donate blood, if you go to the American Red Cross, the blood drive is in their calendar. We'd love to have you come and help us. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Leahy. Alderman Lockmiller.
Public Works Committee will meet here Thursday, the 9th at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman O'Neill.
Yes, Ward 4's meeting this month will also be January 28th at 5:30 for half an hour at the Brentwood Forest Clubhouse.
Thank you. Alderman Plufka.
Public safety, because this is a 5 Wednesday month, right?
Yeah.
So we're meeting on the 22nd? I say with all the authority.
Is that a question or a
You're
statement?
looking for some confirmation.
I'm looking for some confirmation.
The fourth
Yes.
Wednesday
All
of
right.
the month is the
So,
22nd.
stated with more authority, the public safety meeting of January will be on the 22nd at 5:30 in this room. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Sims.
No report.
Alderwoman Tice.
The Ward 1 meeting in January will be next Tuesday, the 14th, a week from tomorrow, at 6:30 p.m. at the Community Center.
Thank you. And Alderman Weggie.
I have one item, so if you look in board docs, there is a resolution 1195, and I want to thank Shelley and Bola for their flexibility on this. I called them at 4:30 p.m. this afternoon There was a little breakdown on communication here, but we typically waive the rental fee for the ice rink for the PTO. This is their yearly Mark Twain and McGrath mixer, and because this serves the entire community, we have waived this in the past, including last year for sure. I was able to pull up the ordinances. So as you see in board docs, there is a resolution to waive this fee. It would be $315 for the ice rink and $2 per skates for this event. And I left everybody a flyer for the event on Saturday. So with that, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 1195.
Second.
This fee.
Okay, we got a motion by Alderman Waggy and seconded by Alderwoman Sims. Kevin, it's okay to do it and at this part of the meeting, point in the meeting? Okay. Any discussion on resolution number 1195? Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Lane?
Yes.
Alderman Mockler?
Yes.
Alderman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Markakis?
Yes.
Alderman Plonka?
Yes.
Alderman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Wade?
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is item 8, City Administrator Report. A, report from Kerber, Eck, and Breckel, LP, independent review of expenditures of proceeds of the 2018 certificates of participation, July 1st through September 30th. Come on down. Just state your name if you would, please.
My name is Courtney Cannon, and I'm a senior accountant with Kerber, Eck, and Breckel, here to, as you stated, present our independent accountant's report on agreed upon procedures over the expenditures of the 2018 certificate of participation proceeds for the period from July 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2019. We applied the agreed upon procedures specified and agreed to by the Board of Aldermen and the Mayor of the City of Brentwood in our engagement letter dated October 26th, 2018. The agreed upon procedures performed do not constitute an audit, an examination, or a review. As such, we will not express an opinion or conclusion on the expenditures of the certificate of participation proceeds, nor do we make any representation regarding the sufficiency of the procedures agreed upon. Also, please note that we cannot necessarily explain why a deviation may have occurred. We can only present to you the nature of the deviation found, if any. For the period from July 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2019, we performed the agreed upon procedures on requests number 27 through 30, which include 28 invoices totaling $858,482.66. First, signed contracts were reviewed for all invoices with the exception of purchases made from sole source providers, purchases made on the open market with a value of less than $2,000, purchases requiring a quick turnaround as allowed under Purchasing Code Section 135.12, section of professional services, selection, of professional services, and purchases from subcontractors covered under previously approved contracts with the City of Brentwood. No exceptions noted. Next, we examined all 28 invoices to determine if City of Brentwood policy and internal controls were followed. One exception was noted in which 3 professional service proposals were not obtained for a $2,000 payment made to Lauer, Dursa, and Associates for appraisal and expert witness services related to the valuation trial of property within the Brentwood-bound plan area. Management communicated the proposals were not obtained due to the specialized experience required of the expert witness and the sensitive nature of the appraisal valuations. However, we did note that the city's policies and internal controls related to the sequence of approval and payments of the invoices were in fact followed. The Board of Aldermen approved the contract at the July 15, 2019 meeting with resolution number 1154. The contract was subsequently signed on July 16, 2019. The invoice was included on the warrant list approved by the Board of Aldermen on September 3rd, 2019, and the related payment was made on September 9th, 2019. Finally, we compared all 28 invoices to the official statement of the certificate of participation for allowability. No exceptions were noted. The agreed upon procedures of this engagement were conducted in accordance with attestation standards established by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Great. Thank you, Courtney. Any questions for Courtney? Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Next on the agenda is item 8B, Brentwood bound update. Craig?
Good evening. Craig Sherwood, Downey Building Solutions. A couple news items. Back in the December work session, we had talked about a federal grant. The odds were unknown because we had no commitment that the state would submit that grant to the federal government. It's a big caveat, and if the state says we won't submit it, there's no odds that the federal will do that grant. So the mayor worked very hard and got the state to submit that grant to the federal government, to FEMA, and that's a big step. So after we got the commitment, Jacobs and staff and the consultants worked really hard over the holiday season, and we uploaded that grant on last Friday, January 3rd. And that's really big news because that instantly takes those odds from unknown to at least having like a good chance of getting this grant. So the city will know in June of 2020 if they receive that grant. Brentwood's share would be $5.15 million approximately, which is substantial. It's going to happen without the mayor's work and without Jacob's work, so please give them acknowledgement, but it's really good news. We'll know that in the next 6 months if the city receives that grant. The other item is the demolition package update. So if you drive around Brentwood area, 8606 Manchester, which is a city-owned building, is gone. It's like there's a number of buildings there, it's just a rock. You go down south of Mary, the southernmost property, 2940 Mary, is now down. They're picking up scrap metal and cleaning that up, and they started working on Serco today. It'll take about 3 weeks to demolish that building. Then they'll go to the last building in this package, which is the old closet factory property. So everything's going great. No change orders to date. Everything's actually ahead of schedule. So the first construction project, the bids were received below budget. Everything's going ahead of schedule. Everything's no change orders for rest there. So just good news overall. In regards to my standard update, the soft cost total spent since the last Board of Aldermen meeting is $190,190.77. That includes property acquisition legal fees, project management fees, Deer Creek flood mitigation design and engineering, and property appraisals. And then the other expenditures were in property acquisitions. So the city closed on a lot of properties back in December. In the flood mitigation phase 1 area is almost all acquired, which is great news because it really prepares the city for starting the next construction project. So total spend since the last meeting was $383,453.16, and that includes the closing cost of 3029 Brent Avenue, 8130 Brentwood Industrial Drive, 8228 Brentwood Industrial Drive, and 2717 Breckenridge Industrial Court.
Great, thanks, Greg. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a request on behalf of Equus Hospitality Management, Town Place Suites by Marriott Project Site from Cook and Riley. Scott, are you taking this?
Yes.
Okay.
How's everybody tonight? My name is Scott Riley from Cook and Riley. I'm here on behalf of EQH Brentwood LLC and Equus Hospitality Management. Just a quick reminder, this Town Place Suites project was one that we were before the board quite frequently over the course of the summer. In early September, the board approved a conditional use permit, chapter 323 development plan to have the project move forward. Subsequently, in October, there was some additional site work being done at the location on Hamley Road by the developer related to two things: a pre-demolition inspection of the building and some soil borings that were related to kind of an investigation of the clay lines that potentially could exist underneath the site that could affect some foundation work. During the course of that work in October, Speartops discovered that there was some previously unknown asbestos contamination in the building, in both the tile mastic underneath the floor and in the window insulation in the building itself. The company that was doing the soil borings, GRS Group, during the field work found some things that disturbed them. There was some field tests done. They subsequently sent that soil to a lab to do some further testing in October and early November. Those lab tests showed some elevated levels of lead and arsenic in the soil that exceeded certain threshold minimums, or threshold maximums, established by the state of Missouri. After the developer kept its arms around the fact that there were some unanticipated environmental issues, identified those, started to get an idea of what the remediation may look like. We knew that our projected finish date of the project was no longer realistic. So under the development agreement, we had an obligation to notify the city that we thought there was going to be a delay, not necessarily in starting, but in completing. So in early December, we sent a letter to the city administrator indicating what we saw the issue to be, and we're asking the city to work with us so we can extend that December 31, 2020 completion date. So with that background, why we're really here tonight, city administrator sent us a notice saying, we've got some communications from you. We do want you to address some more issues just for everybody's sake, so we're being transparent for both the city and for the board. The city administrator's 4 questions were, when does the developer believe the environmental abatement will begin? When does the developer believe the environmental abatement will conclude? When will actual vertical construction begin, and what's the projected substantial completion date? We've been working hard on those questions through November and December. There's been some delay, obviously, with the holidays, and this is kind of the best information that we have to date. We are ready to move forward with the remediation on the building itself. The start date for that is anticipated to be late January. The schedule that I've seen says January 20. Per Spiritas and what they've told us the St. Louis County regulations are, there's a pre-abatement notification period, followed by some field work, followed by some inspection, post-abatement inspection period. That abatement in the building is anticipated to be about 5 or 6 weeks to do that abatement. Subsequent to that, then the building will be demolished. When the building's demolished, we have to move on to the next phase, which is the soil abatement. The building has to be down because some of the lead and arsenic was discovered under the existing floor slab of the building. So that's going to begin as soon as the building's down. There's bids being solicited for that piece now. We anticipate that soil remediation to begin April 1. That's probably about an 8-week process to get that done and have the site build ready. Vertical construction then would begin immediately. So our anticipation is that would begin in June. Per HBD, our general contractor, there's a 15-month build cycle. So for completion, we're looking at about 15 months from June 1. So we're anticipating having a substantially completed hotel late summer 2021, which is about a 7-month delay of what we originally anticipated. But that's been created by this kind of gap, October, November, December, in identifying the issues, figuring out how to remediate the issues, working with the city to notify them of the issues, and now once we've done that, we have about a 4 to 5 month remediation period. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Alderman Plufka. Thanks. So when we were talking about this in the summer, there was a number of proposals that were put together having to do with our foregoing or forbearing certain taxes with regard to taxes being collected, taxes and things like that. And the plan that was put together was done so with the idea that this would help make this package financially doable for the developer. Does any of this additional cost related to remediation cause you to say you're going to come back and want to renegotiate that deal?
No, and if you recall, we were trying to put together all the extraordinary costs we thought we were going to incur when we were asking for the abatement.
Right.
We obviously didn't know about the environmental issues.
No question.
Otherwise that would have been in that list. No, at this point, we want to press forward. We're not going to come back to the board to ask for any additional assistance.
Okay.
You know, the development deal that was struck is the development deal that was struck, and we're going to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? Scott? Thank you.
One last comment, if I could. We didn't want to obviously bring this to the board's attention. This is the path forward that we work with your office board to figure out how to document.
Absolutely, I just thought that the board needed
Right.
to have detailed information.
Do we have to?
There's no action required.
I was going to say, do we have to grant the excusable delay or anything? No.
No, there's a force majeure clause in the agreement. We're really just being put on notice that there is going to be a force majeure claim, I expect.
Yes, yeah, that's right. We wanted to make sure we were being transparent and the board knew what was going on. And where
So
we were.
conditional use doesn't have to be extended or anything, or, no? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wasn't there one more?
Oh, I'm sorry, there is one more piece that again, separate issue, but still development agreement related. This is another thing that doesn't necessarily require board action, but it's, again, just for the board's information. The development entity that signed the development agreement with the city is an entity called EQH Brentwood LLC. If the board recalls, the equity partner that was with Equus on this deal was Rockbridge Capital LLC. Rockbridge has asked for, I'm assuming legal and tax reasons, that a new jointly owned entity by Rockbridge and Equus be the substitute developer. There's provisions in the development agreement that allow for that transfer. There's a transferee agreement attached to the back. We've communicated to the city's attorneys, and I had a conversation with Mark Graham, and he said that the draft transferee agreement that's proposed looks okay. The city did want us to present some documentation, kind of showing what Rockbridge Capital LLC's experience is and their financial, ability to complete the project with Equus. We have those materials with us tonight. We'll leave packets for everybody, both BOA and all the aldermen, just so you can look at those as well. Rockbridge is one of the largest hotel developers in the country, has billions of dollars of assets that are owned across, I think, 30 plus states. So I don't think there's an issue with their financial ability to participate in the project and get it done, but we want to make sure we're satisfying all the conditions of the development.
We have one other to sort out, and that's the federal compliance on employment. And I understand there may not be any employees, but I think we may still need some other 285. So we'll talk about that.
And that's the E-Verify affidavit. It's just having Rockbridge, represent that entity as a signatory. Just as so thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is item D, City Hall Customer Service Improvements Update. Who's taking this? Dan?
I don't know if anyone's got any specific questions or if you've been through there since we've started the project. I know some of you have. Basically, they're at the flooring pile stage right now. So if you go around the conference room and where Mary's office is, that floor is done. Then we'll be doing carpeting here soon. Drywall's done. Touch-up paint's going on. Lighting's installed. What else? I know the foyer area, we talked about possibly redoing all that floor, but it got too expensive. So we're going to patch an area. We'll clean it as best we can and try to put a couple coats of sealant over and see how that looks. Since we did have change orders, these are listed in the packet. There's a few more change orders since that time had occurred. Probably the two most significant would be the low voltage, and then there's a door hardware. And then there's some patching too. That was around $8,000 or so. Schedule-wise, we originally thought this week would be the week that we were doing punch list. We're not. It's a couple weeks off, so it'll probably be late January with the goal of moving everyone back in February. We've met with the furniture vendor. We'll go look at it Friday. We've already basically picked out the cost. The cost is still below the budget for 2020. The budget was $35,000. I think we're at like 31. So there's some changes we're going to do to see if we can bring that down a little bit lower. So you'll have new lobby furniture. There wasn't really a lobby or common area. There will be. So you'll have a couch, a couple chairs, I guess a coffee table or conversation table, whatever you want to call it. And then new planning development furniture. Quartz has new furniture because the original furniture is a building. So just like cantilever countertops, and now you actually have desks and workstations in planning development. So far it's going really well. I don't know if you have any specific questions. If you wanted to come toward, you still can. That offer's still open. And then they still have to do like the main doorway, Brentwood Boulevard, that doorway needs to be replaced. And then there's some other interior doorways with swipes that'll be installed.
Any questions for Dan on this? Great, thank you. Okay. Don't go far. Next on the agenda is the streetlight project update.
There's kind of two updates. There's the Aaron one and the solar light one. So what I tried to include, solar lights were within our ability to put in. So we ordered those. They were from First Light Technologies out of Canada. We put those lights in. They've been installed for going on a month now. I just need to take some readings. We took readings while they were installed. We took readings after they were installed. And then I'll take readings again, since hopefully people will take down the Christmas decorations. Just wanted to see, like, over time what's happening to the light. We've
got the app so we can adjust it down if it's too bright. I don't think that they are. Had positive comments from a resident on Barnes City. So the 3 solar lights will be Barnes State, Bedford, and Laverne Court. So I don't know if you've gotten any feedback from your constituents.
Have you got any feedback?
Yeah, positive, some expressed that it was dimmer than they thought it would be, but.
Right, yeah, because the fear was that it would be too bright if we put in an Ameren light, and the 3 that we did put in were 3 out of the 6 that didn't want any light whatsoever. So it's dimmer, but it still provides light where there was none.
I personally like them a lot.
Yeah, they'll go for days without a charge signal. We had the snowstorm. I know there had to be snow in that collector, but it still went on and off for days after it melted. So we won't have a bill, which is good. It's sustainable. And then regarding the Ameren, I sent an email request to them. They were supposed to start this week. I didn't see anybody. I don't know if you did, but I have not seen one of the Ameren lights. And then we still have the one on Parkside. We started and then tabled it. So we still need to put in a base somewhere over there. We'll probably discuss that for sometime. Public Works.
Alderman Weggie.
So Dan, I mean, I've been, some of the streets that push back on the original installation, I've been pulsing those residents and still getting a little bit of pushback. How do you think we should proceed to kind of send them out? Do you think it's another survey, or you want me to just walk around and do a tally vote and figure that out?
We can send it back out to the, I know that this court was one of those where it was a negative, but we didn't have the solar, so I mean, would they be willing to bend a little bit?
We're about 50-50 right now. I'm still working it. But I think Mary Kay would be more open to it.
Yeah, because the fear, I think, on Mary Kay was that, I think, at least one of those homes was a 2-story, and the light would go in the second story, but with solar, there's no way that's going to.
So I'm just curious, your thoughts on how we want to proceed in terms of revisiting that for the streets that didn't want to do it.
You know, hopeful that once Ameren puts in some of theirs, then we can actually take field measurements on those, because those are different than a conventional light. You know, those are fiberglass with the, I'm trying to remember what the brand or luminaire was, I think it's contemporary. But, you know, it'll shine light in most directions, but shine it towards the street primarily. There could be a little backscatter, but we can take measurements on those. And, you know, if they don't have light go out too far, I would think that they can see a concrete example. You know, I guess open their mind to something that's different than they thought.
Okay, I'll keep asking.
Anyone else? Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have A through L items. Standing committees report, minutes from the meeting of December 2nd, warrant lists for 2019 and 2020, both of them operating funds, warrant lists for the 2019, certificates of participation, resolution number 1060.1, a resolution authorizing revisions to the Brentwood Fleet Replacement Policy, resolution number 1191, a resolution endorsing full implementation of the Brentwood Boundary Development Program and authorizing city staff to seek additional resources to coordinate and fund approved project enhancements. Resolution number 1192, a resolution authorizing an addendum to the professional services agreement with Botts Deal and Company PC for accounting services. Resolution number 1193, a resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with Garcia Hamilton and Associates for investment advisory services. Resolution number 1194, a resolution authorizing an agreement with ICS Construction Services Limited for construction related to barrier removal and ADA compliance with the Brentwood Fire Station. Item K, change orders to the Brentwood bound Northwest Parks and Trails and work order Brentwood bound tree removal. Alderman Leahy.
Your Honor, I'd like to request that resolution 1060 on the fleet maintenance be pulled and be handled by itself, please.
Okay. Do you have some questions that maybe we can answer and keep it on the consent agenda or not?
If I may, if it's appropriate.
Sure, go ahead and ask.
It is my understanding that the Public Works Committee is dealing with a potential contract to hire an automobile dealership that will do the maintenance on the city vehicles. And if that be the case, I'm a little confused why we would change the policy on replacing cars based on a mileage standard when we have somebody under contract that is quite knowledgeable to tell us when and if something should be physically replaced. I find the two bills in conflict with each other and would love to see if the Public Works Committee will address which one gets us where we want to be.
Dan, are you prepared to answer Alderman Leahy's question about this contract with, I guess, a mechanic?
It's not actually a dealership. You know, we're doing an intergovernmental agreement with Kirkwood, so, and that's really for evaluations, kind of like what we do now, but they'll do the evaluation, so there should be no bias. There wasn't bias before, but given it's an outside entity, they have no vested interest whether you get a police car or whatever. So that's part of that Kirkwood agreement. The second part was to do any repairs that would be outside of either our hours or outside of the time when we actually have someone in the shop that can do the repairs. So if we're doing snow removal, we've got a main mechanic and someone that can back him out. But if those two are on the snow routes, they can be gone while something breaks down. So you either take it to a dealership, like say Fraser, for a tire repair, or you take it to Brentwood, which you need to schedule. So it's not a dealership. As far as the fleet is concerned, that's more related to police, and that's where it went through Public Works as to when police, it's not all vehicles, it's just the police vehicles. And that was based on input from the chief, assistant chief, as to when they would replace those.
As I read the current proposed policy, when the vehicles reach 75,000 miles, we would look to replace them.
Yes, that's
based on a mileage accomplishment.
Right now, just because of the length, you know, the chief speaks to it a little more in detail, but I know the length that it takes to get a police car from the time they order it to the time it shows up to the time it's fitted with the equipment is a long duration.
Would the Kirkwood agreement have these people evaluate and tell us when we should be replacing those police cars?
They would take those there and they would get a score just like Public Works or just like Plan Development. That's the question.
They would be following the city's policy.
Right. The policy is the policy, whether it's for police or anyone else. But this was to get that parameter closer to what the other police entities do. You know, a 3-year instead of a 5-year for the ones that are patrolling, because they put so many miles on them.
And that's probably where I'm having a hang up on understanding this agreement. It's my impression that cars are being built better and better, and that the mileage seems to be able to extend further and further. So if we have an agency that can do a decent evaluation of whether the car does or doesn't need to be replaced, and that's their expertise, I would really like to rely on that versus it just hit a magic number of 75,000 miles, let's get a new car.
They would be doing that as well. So they would be evaluating, even though the city has set parameters for which these vehicles will be replaced, when they evaluate, it wouldn't be automatic. Just because it meets these criteria, it's ready for replacement. So they would also evaluate it to support what the policy says. So it's a 2-step process. It's not just automatic.
I understand what you're telling me. I think there's a small crack in the foundation, and I think it will automatically become something in the future. And I'm trying to prevent that from happening.
Well, and that's why we're at the point where we are.
Okay.
Where I believe at the June 9th Public Works, is it Public Works? The contract with the city of Brentwood?
Yeah, we went through, we've got, Kevin gave the comments, we sent the comments back. Right, Kirkwood has to approve it first.
Yes.
And it comes back here to the board.
That's why we don't have
So
it.
I understand what you're saying.
Right.
There could be cracks, but because we've been very diligent about that, it's a little bit there won't be.
Okay.
Yeah, with police cars, it's more than just the miles themselves, it's the number of idle hours, you know, which they pull. Same thing like trash trucks, I mean, you can have 8,000 miles on a trash truck, that's not the same as 8,000 miles on like my Nissan. You know, you've got
Fully understand.
every day it's being
Use and
idled,
abuse.
stuff every 100 feet.
Do you have any other questions on
If I may
260?
ask, not on that bill, but I have another one on consent that I'd like clarified if I
Okay.
may. On resolution 1194 for the barrier removal, we look like we're approving something that for the sake of 2020 budget, we're staying in the budget, but we're gonna give them a change order that allows them to exceed the budget to cover the bid that was there to work with. The question I have is, if they utilize the change order, do we still stay with a balanced budget for picking up that extra?
So Alderman Levy, to your point, we only have $160,000 to work with.
Yes.
We're asking for approval for 166.2 because Horner and Schiffer has directed me to follow through with that. What we're going to do is trim some work off the job to make up that $6,200. So we have to stay within our budget so that we don't get into fund balance and all those things. So what we're going to do is have the work approved and then through a change order, deduct an approximate amount of $6,200 to make up that difference.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So Alderman Lay, are we okay with keeping 1060 and 1194 in the consent?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything on the consent agenda? All right. I think it's in the city's best interest to reject all the submittals on resolution number 1193, and as such, I'm just going to go ahead and remove that, and we'll take that up at the next meeting.
Okay.
So with that, we have a revised consent agenda. It's everything on there with the exception of item I, resolution 1193. With that, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Lockmiller and seconded by Alderwoman Sims. You could have sworn you did, didn't you? Okay. All right. It's a running gag. All right. Anyway, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Levy?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderman Parker-Hess?
Yes.
Alderman Plunkett?
Yes.
Alderman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Fraser?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Shelley. All right, now, old business, item 10A, bill number 6270, the cell phone stipend policy and cell phone stipend agreement, amendment to the employee handbook. Was this taken up, Alderman Kramer, at the last meeting, or did we do the first read on this?
It rings a bell.
Did we do the first read at the last one? This is
Yeah.
the second read, okay. Excuse me, Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read by title only, please?
No pun intended.
Bill number 6270, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance authorizing and approving the amendment of the city of Brentwood's current employee handbook.
Thank you. Okay, can we get a synopsis?
In non-public safety departments, most city staff are currently using a 6-year-old cellular device that are no longer supported by the manufacturers. This results in a loss of productivity and performance-based issues by not being able to take advantage of the latest cellular network advances. As such, the IT department identified the need and has an approved fiscal year 19 project to replace all city cellular phones in non-public safety departments. There are 19 phones and 1 Wi-Fi slot.
Thank you.
20.
Chair would entertain a motion to perfect bill number 6270 in the ordinance form.
Point of order, we
Yes.
didn't do a first reading on this in December 19th.
We didn't?
We did
did
not.
2 meetings.
We did it in the first meeting in December, didn't we?
Yeah.
December 2nd?
We skipped it on the night, yeah.
Okay, so we just did the budget on the 19th.
We had aldermanic light on the 19th.
Aldermanic light, we did a first read already on this.
12/2 of 19.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay, great. So we had a motion to perfect by, who did that? Alderwoman O'Neill. And a second by Alderman Lockmiller? Who seconded?
No, I don't.
No.
Anybody second this?
Well, your second, you thought came from Mr. Wade.
It was
but he
second.
called for a-
Second by Alderman
Point of
Weggie.
order.
Okay, so we got a motion by Alderwoman O'Neill, seconded by Alderman Weggie. Any further discussion? Okay,
So,
can we, oh,
could I ask a question?
sure.
So are the exhibits part of the
Yes.
policy? Could I make a suggestion on Exhibit A that rather than there are several Exhibit As in our packet, but if you look at the second Exhibit A, which is the bottom one, I propose eliminating the black writing underneath the cell phone stipend policy, so eliminate the words eligible employees below may receive a cell phone stipend from the city for business-related costs incurred when using their personal cell phones, and replace it with employees who hold positions that include the need for a cell phone may elect to receive a cell phone stipend to reimburse for business-related costs incurred when using their personally owned cell phones. This will be in lieu of receiving a city-provided device and cellular service plan. I feel like that better explains what this policy is than the language that is currently in Exhibit A.
Okay, so we need a motion to amendment or Exhibit A. That sound right? Okay, so Alderwoman Tice, are you making that motion?
Yes, I am.
Do we have a second to amend Exhibit A?
Second.
Sorry, seconded by Alderwoman O'Neill. Okay. Can we? Yes.
On that proposed change, you have in there that include that need a cell phone may elect to receive a stipend. How do you determine if they need the cell phone? In the policy you're removing, it was determined by the department head. Now it just says.
So I haven't removed anything in the policy. The only thing I removed were the first two lines that are like the intro. The eligibility, the stipend plan, the oversight, the employee rights, responsibilities, everything else is just the intro.
But in the eligibility, it had that the employee must be approved by the department head. You've taken that out?
No.
No. No.
No.
No, it's still in there.
It's still all in there. The lines above that, Ian. So see those top two lines?
Yeah.
The very top lines above that.
Okay, that's where you're.
Yeah,
taking
that's
it.
what I'm saying. Just the intro. I just wanted to reframe the intro. So I felt like the current intro doesn't explain the policy. So,
Okay, any further discussion on amending Exhibit A? Okay, all in favor of amending Exhibit A, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, let's see, where are we then? This is 6270. Okay, we have a motion to perfect, right? Somebody at some point in time made that? Okay. Can we, any further discussion on that? Okay, roll call, please, Shelley.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Next on the agenda is Bill number 6271 under new business. Can we get a first reading by title only, please?
Bill number 6271, first reading, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Brentwood and adopting Chapter 620 regarding the economic development sales tax.
Thank you. Synopsis?
The revised state statute of Missouri 67.1305 states the cities to have an economic development tax board to review economic development projects and the expenditure of funds on at least an annual basis. This ordinance is to formalize levy on the economic development sales tax approved by the voters in April and to establish the economic development sales tax board required by the governing statute.
Do we have a presentation on this, Paula, or do we need one?
It's a statutory compliance
Okay.
matter, so we've taken the structure of the advisory boards straight out of the statute. I think the statute has been provided.
Okay.
And the allowable expenditures for economic development sales tax is also purely statutory.
Okay. And we're allowed to have either a 5 or 9 member
That's the
board?
other option, either 5-member board or 9-member.
And this board would make that decision in the ordinance that
So for
passed?
3 of the members, this board would make that decision. One would be by the school district and the other by city.
No, I mean, but who makes the decision whether it's a 5-member or 9-member?
The bill has a 5-member.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. All right, and we're only doing a first reading on this tonight? Okay, all right. Do we have any other discussion or any other questions? Alderman Lockmiller.
Mr. O'Keefe, what's the difference between a 5-member and a 9-member? Why do they allow for a 9-member?
I have to look at it. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay.
With the 9-member board,
Well, I know there's a breakdown.
there's a breakdown, so I'll have to wait here real quick. For a 9-member board, five members will be appointed by this board.
by school and 2 by the county.
Is it just
Three
because
in
of
one
geographical area or something that you need more members, or?
So 4 members shall be appointed by the governing body of the county, and 2 members.
I don't know why they were, generally the ratio of the membership is going to be roughly the same, just more of.
Okay. And then who would, I guess the county council would send us a member. Who would that be? How do they pick?
That would be up to the county executive with the approval of the county board. The same would apply for the school district. So, you give us a few minutes, we might be able to find that specifically.
The governing body of the county, so it would be the council.
So it's a volunteer that they have that would be,
I think generally it's a staff member. It's
Okay.
somebody probably from either the planning department more often than not,
okay.
that I recall. Maybe somebody from the county executive office.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Any other questions, Alderman Leahy?
According to the bill in front of us, there was a first reading of this bill back on 12/16.
No.
I don't
We
think
didn't
that
even-
took place.
No, we didn't have a meeting on 12/16.
This bill states that did, and I'm going, no, I don't think we did.
You just need to change the date. It's been on the agenda for some time, especially in the month of December, where we scheduled some of the meetings.
Where is that, Alderman Leahy, so we
At the
can?
bottom of page 3 of the, or page 5 of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it just needs to be corrected then.
Okay.
And we'll do a first and second. this
Yeah,
evening.
let's do a first and second on this. Can we get a second read by title only, please, Mr. City Attorney?
Bill number 6271, second reading and consideration of adoption. The ordinance adopting amending the code of ordinances of the city of Brentwood and adopting chapter 620 regarding the economic development sales tax.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to perfect Bill number 6271 in ordinance form?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
There we got a motion by Alderman Leahy, seconded by Alderman Lockmuller. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
To answer the question, five members will be appointed by the city, 2 by the county, 2 by the school, if it were 9 members.
Okay, and we just passed to 5. So
Yeah.
it's 3, 1, and 1. All right. Next on the agenda is Bill number 6274, an ordinance adopting standards and procedures for expense reimbursement. Can we get a first reading by title only, please?
Bill number 6274, first reading, an ordinance adopting standards and procedures for expense reimbursement.
Thank you. And I'll give you the quick synopsis. This is something that I brought to the attention of BOLA after there was some press about elected official spending a lot of money on a meal down in Miami. It was $150 lobster tempura, and I asked BOLA, what am I allowed to do the same thing? And surprisingly, I am. And I said, well, that should not be the case. So, and all joking aside, this is simply a housekeeping measure. I do want to see us have something in writing that has limitations on what elected officials can spend. It's already in place for the employees. There just wasn't anything in place for the elected officials, and I wanted that to be extended to us as well. So again, it's hopefully there's no objection to going forward with this. But with that.
Cancel the limousine. Okay.
So can I get a second reading by title only, please?
Bill number 6274, second reading and consideration for adoption of an ordinance adopting standards and procedures for expense reimbursement.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to perfect 6274 in the ordinance form.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderwoman Sims and seconded by Alderman Leahy. Any further discussion? Roll call up.
Just say kudos, good catch.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. And the last thing under new business is Bill number 6275. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6275, first reading, ordinance granting a conditional use permit to Janice Cataldi, operate a medical daycare program for children at 1400 Strasser Drive.
Can we get a synopsis, please? I'm sorry?
It says the same.
Okay, then we'll skip the synopsis. Do we have anybody presenting on this? Lisa, you want to come on up or down?
Good evening. So this is what was related to the public hearing that was earlier on the agenda for this particular petition to operate a medical daycare program for children at the address 1400 Strassner Drive. It does take a conditional use permit. It's located in the light industrial district. This one went in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission and was approved by a 6-0 vote to approve the conditional use permit and site plan. So this is going to provide services for up to 24 children. That number might actually be less than what they officially get licensed from the state of Missouri. We don't really have a lot of additional restrictions on child daycare programs, but they all do get licensed by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, which have a tendency to be much more stricter than probably anything the city could probably put in our books. So this obviously is something that they have to do before they can get processed and be issued their license by the state of Missouri. So, do you have any questions?
Alderman Leahy.
In your memo, you cite it as a private daycare center, and yet you use the term medical daycare center. Is there a difference, or are they really that interchangeable?
For our zoning code purposes, I would say they're interchangeable because any type of daycare would have to have a conditional use permit, so whether they provide medical services to
Okay.
the children today.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Can we get a second read of bill number?
I think the second reading staggered.
Oh, is it staggered? Thank you, Alderman Leahy. Yes, that is correct. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That brings us on up to item 12, citizen comments. Anybody in the audience care to address the Board of Aldermen? Now is the time to do so. Sally, are you coming down? Yes, you are. No.
Sally Westernward, 2626 Bremerton Road. Just a comment. It's hard to hear you guys with the roar of this furnace going on.
Okay.
Pointing out.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I'll be happy when you get back to City Hall.
We all will. Believe me, I think we all will.
We all will.
We do appreciate the school district in accommodating us. It was very, very kind of them to do that, but I agree with you. We'll be very happy to get back to our home. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that
Oh.
this board.
Hold on a second. Alderman Kramer?
Apologize.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I have a short message.
Sure.
If I could indulge just for a moment. Mr. Mayor and fellow board members, I want to thank you. As a member of any body of elected officials, I'm mindful of just how rare an opportunity this is to say the following words while I'm still in office. And so I am humbled with gratitude. Tonight's Board of Aldermen meeting is my final Board of Aldermen meeting for the city of Brentwood. Effective at 5 p.m. this coming Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, I do then tender my resignation from the Board of Aldermen of the city of Brentwood, Missouri. While I know this may come as a surprise to some, I have been honored to serve alongside this body and all the other talented and many gifted residents who I've served with in the past, those who've given an important part of their lives in devotion to this 100-year-old, very special community. To those who may not know, my wife of 7 years from Columbia, South America, Laura, blessed me a few years ago with a wonderful son named Eli. I believe a great deal in the hands of God, His great works, and His answer to my prayers. My wife and my son are both answers to my prayers, and so I have vowed to spend more time with them more completely on a daily basis. and to move forward and toward increasing our family size. I also have some new opportunities that will require a change. So to that end, as of this weekend, I'll no longer be an official resident of the city of Brentwood. So where to, you might ask? Well, another area code, another zip code, not terribly far away. Still hammering out a few of the details. This past summer, while casually looking in and around and near our community, we came across a special opportunity in another area that was too good to pass up. Though we didn't fully recognize what was placed before us, we were given a second chance after passing on the first, and finally a third chance to take advantage of a special opportunity. Once again, I believe this was God himself working in our lives as a series of events making the arrangements for our next chapter leave no other explanation. Though I will remain a Brentwood property owner, I will miss being here daily as I have been since 1994. I respect each of you here tonight as I say goodbye. I have come to admire you each on your own contributions to Brentwood and your many years of service. And I say thank you to our city administrator, Amibola Akande, all the city staff, both now and those I came to know from the past. A special thank you to former Mayor Mark Kurtz, who picked up on my passion for real estate some number of years ago with an appointment to Planning and Zoning. Thank you to former Mayor Pat Kelly, who nominated me to the Board of Aldermen in 2003. And finally, thank you to the residents of the city of Brentwood. Thank you for your trust and your loyalty over the years. I hope that I have never let you down. I stand ready to assist the mayor in any way if he so desires towards the need for my replacement, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I'm at a loss of words.
I understand.
Your Honor, if I may ask a question of the city attorney. Mr. O'Keefe, because the position is available while filing is still open, can a replacement file for that, or do we have to literally go to St. Louis County and ask them to put that position on the ballot?
I'd like to take a look at that before I leap to a conclusion, but when there is a vacancy and a special election for a vacancy, the statutes do contemplate a shortened filing period. However, it is not necessary to do that because there is a process for appointment and refilling the vacancy on a regular election cycle. It is not advertised for availability of that office. The public has not been given notice because there's no the opportunity to file. We could have a shortened filing period, but there still is a certification deadline that instead of being 10 weeks out, which is the 28th of January, it could be as short as 4 more weeks. We can explain the options to the board.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Alderman Kramer, I hope you will, you're agreeable to show up at another meeting when we can
Sure.
have maybe some more words to say and truly express our appreciation for your years of service.
Thank you.
Okay, with that.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that this board go into executive session for Missouri Revised Standards 610.021, subsections 1, 2, and 3 for legal, real estate, personnel, and then we adjourn from that meeting.
Second.
We've got a motion by Alderman Leahy and seconded by Alderwoman Tice. You're throwing me off there. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Okay, we'll take about a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Surprise.